Hallo zusammen! You know, I really like when an old song gets revived in a way, through a series, a show, through, I don't know, television in general, or other things. That's always cool because there are some golden classics back in the old days that many of us probably don't even know about. I'm happy to say that the same happened to Irgendwie, Irgendwo, Irgendwann by Nena and her self-titled band, because of Dark, the German Netflix masterpiece. Das Meisterwerk. The song was first released in 1984, so pretty much around the time Dark also takes place, at least parts of it without revealing too much about the show, of course. So that fits. But why could the producers of Dark have chosen this track? Well, is there a correlation between what's going on in the lyrics and in the show? Maybe, maybe not. Let's try to find that out. Let's talk about Irgendwie, Irgendwo, Irgendwann by Nena. I guess it's no big secret to say that Dark heavily draws from the idea of time, space, traveling through time, and pretty much overcoming that, like time and space as well. And one of the most important years in the show is 1986, and by this time, Irgendwie, Irgendwo, Irgendwann had been released for 2 years already. And just like it was the case for Nena's biggest international hit, 99 Luftballons, aka 99 Red Balloons in English, she also recorded this song in English later on. Even though the related English title, Any Place, Anywhere, Anytime, is a direct and fitting translation of the German one, the lyrics are a little bit different here and there in terms of how things get expressed. The core topic is the same, but of course, naturally, things get expressed a bit different in different languages. So let's begin with the first verse of the original German version. Im Sturz durch Raum und Zeit, Richtung Unendlichkeit, fliegen Motten in das Licht. Genau wie du und ich. This first line already hints at a metaphysical imagery, which gets combined with a love story throughout the song. Moths are drawn towards the light, so are the two lovers, one of them being the lyrical I. And they don't ever want their love to stop since they are headed towards eternity. By crossing the physical boundaries and basically losing control over your existence within time and space, being caught in a free fall. That might also be a reference to the concept of love, which goes beyond borders, so to speak. So the amount and quality of love and affection is quite high, therefore. Semantically, the second term in the first line is quite interesting. The noun der Sturz, singular, die Stürze, plural, the fall, usually is connotated negatively. I mean, you usually don't do that on purpose, you don't want that to happen. In this case, I think it rather works as an expression of letting yourself be guided by love and trust that everything will turn out good. Just for the record, by the way, I really, really like everything about this song, whether it's the arrangements, the melodies, the harmonies, especially also in this first verse, because it's sort of minimalistic in a way. The driving force is the drums and the rhythm, and of course that is pretty much complemented by Nena's lovely vocal melody there. Really, really cool. The following few lines could either be understood as a continuation of the verse or as a pre-chorus of sorts, which I prefer personally, since there is a certain tonal lift and shift therefore. Irgendwie fängt irgendwann, irgendwo die Zukunft an. Ich warte nicht mehr lang. Liebe wird aus Mut gemacht. Denk nicht lange nach. Wir fahren auf Feuerrädern Richtung Zukunft durch die Nacht. Honestly, beautiful imagery, I think. You might have noticed that both the song's title and the upcoming chorus get mentioned here and hinted at already, even though in a slightly different order. All three words are adverbs. This means they can't be inflected or changed. They remain the same, no matter the grammatical context. And as you can see here, they can also appear at the start of sentences. The English title, Any Place, Anywhere, Anytime, is one way to translate these German adverbs. However, there might also be other terms that some of you guys might see as being more typical even. The lyrical eye doesn't want to wait for the future to begin, which implies it's gonna be a very positive future for them and their partner. They don't want to be passive, they want to be active. It makes sense, of course, since saying I'm gonna start and pursue that in the future doesn't really mean anything as long as there isn't a fixed date. It's inevitable that the future starts at some point anyway, somehow, somewhere, or rather, anyhow. Anywhere, so why not shaping it early on? It seems to be that the lyrical eye's partner, or love interest for that matter, is a bit hesitant towards literally falling in love. And falling in love through time and space, or falling through time and space and into love, or you know, which was indicated in the first verse already. Letting loose of everything stopping them from loving them, unconditionally going all in, basically. Especially the third and fourth line show that will and dedication on the lyrical eye's end. The observation that love is made of or from courage culminates in the following fifth line, which stresses that love is powered by emotion, not by the mind and thoughts necessarily. The term Feuerrädern, an inflected form of das Feuerrad, singular, die Feuerräder, plural, is a pretty cool sounding term, and for quite a while I thought it was a burning wheel, literally speaking, similar to Ghost Rider or something, I don't know. It's simply a term for fireworks, which totally fits the overall context perfectly, I think. Its rapid speed almost seems to cross time and space in a way. Its bright light glows in the dark. And, you know, without wanting to give away too much about the show Dark, that also relates to what is happening in the last and third season, which is awesome and even more complex, by the way. If you want to find out my personal thoughts about the final season and the show in general, feel free to check out my review along with my other Dark-related videos. Now let's head over to the chorus. Gib mir die Hand. Ich bau dir ein Schloss aus Sand. Irgendwie, irgendwo, irgendwann. Die Zeit ist reif für ein bisschen Zärtlichkeit. Irgendwie, irgendwo, irgendwann. You might have noticed a few seemingly clumsy translations here, and you are correct. I did that on purpose actually, because that way I can show and demonstrate the way Germans usually express certain things which might get expressed differently in English. A good example is the fourth line. The expression die Zeit ist reif is a pretty fixed German phrase, and the ending adjective reif, ripe or ripened, wouldn't get used in the equivalent English saying, because there it's sort of the time is right and not ripe or ripened, you know. It's much more common that way in English, but you wouldn't say it like that in German, and vice versa. Also, I think, sort of contra-intuitively, in the first line it's not deine, your, Hand, but rather the more neutral sounding article die for die Hand in nominative and accusative singular, die Hand singular, die Hände plural, the hand. Apart from that, I really like when rhymes work in both English and German, which is the case here as well. And even though a castle is beautiful, it being made of sand, well, sort of belittles its beauty and underlines that love requires work and a really fixed and steady fundament, otherwise it could be an equally fragile construct. All this once again tells us that the dominating part seems to be the lyrical eye, who directs and leads their partner into a loving relationship. I guess this could apply to pretty much around the beginning to middle of the show, because up until that point, Jonas actually has found out what is going on in Winden, what's happening there, and why things are happening that way. And Martha doesn't know too much of that yet, but Jonas actually tells her and shows her, and then she realizes, okay, that is real, he didn't make that up. She starts to believe him, and they build a connection of trust, which then leads into a, well, romantic relationship, after all. So, Also, once Jonas has found out what Sic Mundus is all about and how things work in the world of Winden, he seems to be, as we Germans say, Feuer und Flamme, fire and flame, really motivated, really into it and really invested, curious and active. The second verse is the last new lyrical element in the song. Im Sturz durch Zeit und Raum. erwacht aus einem Traum. Nur ein kurzer Augenblick, dann kehrt die Nacht zurück. Now, the two nouns die Zeit, Singular, die Zeiten, Plural, the time, and der Raum, Singular, die Räume, Plural, the room, and here the space, are swapped compared to the first verse, as you might have noticed. This allows for a fitting rhyme, together with line 2 and the term Traum, der Traum, Singular, die Träume, Plural, the dream. Now, when you think about it, the line erwacht aus einem Traum could mean two things. More neutrally speaking, it means you have slept and have, woken up from a dream you had. Rather negatively connotated though, it could also mean that something you have longed for to become reality, a goal you have set yourself, it just hasn't happened. But since the day pretty much flies by and then the night returns another opportunity in a way, there's gonna be a new chance, and this refers back to the previous and following pre-chorus where the lyrical I underlines Liebe wird aus Mut gemacht. Love is made out of courage or from courage, so don't lose courage and hope to start anew. That pretty much also applies to that early scene where Jonas, who just came back from his stay in the psychiatric clinic, meets Marta right in the school's assembly hall. He pretty much immediately finds out that she is now in love with Bartosz, which kind of shocks him and also makes him sad. Throughout the show, though, he doesn't lose hope and, well, finally they fall in love. Not to mention that the noun die Nacht implies darkness and mystery. And I think this song overall really fits the plot and the atmosphere of Dark perfectly, even in the torture scenes in like the children's room, which sort of is, contrary to what's happening and what's shown on screen, but that way it works even better, I think, as a contrast, a contrary, counterintuitive element. Joy and torture. And in all honesty, I think it works better than any other German classic 80s song that I could think of. Of course, I also want to know, did you know the song before watching this show? And what do you think about it? What do you think about the show, of course? Also, feel free to tell me that in the comments. And as I've said before, feel free to watch my other Dark-related videos or my other German songs or German lyrics-related videos, where I pretty much analyze those German lyrics, I translate them into English and explain the linguistic features in the German original versions. Much fun, I think, so hope you enjoy that as well. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm your Vlog Dave. Tschüss und bis zum nächsten Mal.